My name's Blake Manley. I'm a teacher at Sweet Home High School in Forestry and Natural Resources. One of my jobs is to introduce students to career paths that they don't get to see in the everyday classroom. So join me as we shadow professionals working in their everyday jobs. In this episode, we will learn all about being a machinist.
If we had an experienced machinist walk in the door today, we would probably hire him, even though we don't necessarily need one. But experienced machinists are hard to find.
Sometimes the cars come in and we're not able to actually run them. That other car over there was actually a wreck. Tear them down, rebuild them, put them back together, they go back out.
I built the first Carriage in '79. Drawings of all the carriages I built, how every piece was drawn up, right on those things. And once you set the goal, really apply yourself. And when you get to be 81, you can retire.
So join us for this exciting episode right here on Manly Jobs. You are looking at two finished carriages used for skyline logging. We are following them to be painted. This product isn't finished until it is painted. Gene Sutton, owner of Mountain View Custom Paint, has been painting for Eagle for the last 40 years. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This process started much earlier. So let's go back and learn how we got here. Manly Jobs went on a road trip from Sweet Home to La Grande, Oregon, the home of Eagle Carriage and Machine. Inside, we see professional machinists busy working for farmers, loggers, and other custom designs. This company has been machining products for over 40 years. Let's meet the founder, the legend, and the man who started it all, Scotty Baker.
In high school, I took mechanical drawing. Now that done a whole lot for me.
Sure.
If you're gonna try to build something, you need to know how to draw. And you better take all the math you can in high school, because there's a lot of math involved. And you've got to figure all the stresses and everything and how you're going to design and build this thing.
There was several sawmills at that time, and we built parts for all the sawmills. We built the head rigs, we built the planer tables, we built sawmill equipment is what we did then in the machine shop. And then there was a need for a truck shop, so we took on the Mack truck line.
The truck business kept expanding and needing more room. Well, in 97, I left, spun off of that business, and then started Eagle Carriage and Machine.
So that would be an Eagle 4 there, probably the first one we ever built. By 2000, we had built this shop and moved out here in 2000. I built the carriages for a year, I ran the crews for years, building the carriages. Dad drew up and designed, and then I went to the shop and built the carriages for all those years. And then I started doing some of the design work.
We made them strong. I figured you gotta make something strong. And you don't want it just a flimsy piece of junk.
Like Scotty said, the carriage needs to be built strong. Let's meet Don Olson, one of the machinists who build this product from the ground up.
It'll take about 40 hours to build it from start to finish, because just the shell, as you see it right here, I'll start out with a print that explains to me dimensions of the car and stuff. As we start from the foundation up, and then we add some what we call the runners on the bottom, the door jambs, and then we'll add the top, and then we'll put the inside in, the center plates and stuff. And then at the last we add the tower and then a clamp. We run about a 3/8 weld all the way around. You want a good quality weld, because these things are picking up, you know, huge logs. After we're all done, and then this gets shipped down to the assemblers and they assemble it, put the engine in, put all the hydraulic hoses, hydraulic system in it.
Two other machinists, Dylan and Brandon, not only assemble newly built carriages, but also fix damaged ones brought back to them from the woods.
My job is normally the engines. I rebuild them when they come in, make sure they're good. If we're in a wreck, I got to tear it apart and check the bearings, make sure everything was good, not broken.
You know, I'll get a car in, I'll wash it, determine what kind of damage is on the engine. I'll get it cleaned up, send it to him, then he'll do the engine, I'll do the car. That way we can all work together and get stuff done a lot faster. Sometimes the cars come in and we're not able to actually run them. That other car over there was actually a wreck. The engine was torn separate from the rest of the components in the car. So we can't start them. Tear them down, rebuild them, put them back together, they go back out. This one we could, so we kind of already have an idea of what we need to look for, which speeds up the process a lot. You know, you got your skyline that runs through each of these shivs, and we have to set our cylinders, the speeds and everything on that, to where it actually comes out, the skyline's running right along the top, and then this closes. Otherwise this can close first and then it's not going to lock up, grab the line and break. So we got a diesel engine that's powering a small hydraulic pump, which does our clamp functions. Then we have another hydraulic pump in the back that controls this hydraulic motor for our slack puller. You give it signals on, you know, what you want the car to do. So it goes from bug to this, into a relay box. It's all electrical. Comes over here. This is our hydraulic valve body. Each one of these spools does a function. The yarder's pulling the car back and forth. It has another line, comes off a drum, goes down through here, comes down with our T-bar or whatever you got on it that goes to our chokers. So the car goes down the hill, carrying the skid line, car brakes, then you give it the signal to pull slack down to the guys setting chokers. Okay, once the guy's down below, tell the yarder to pull the logs up to the carriage, clamps the sky, clamps the skids, then unclamps the sky, then they take the logs back up to the landing. Yeah, I'm doing a voltage to ground, and that will tell you if you have something drawing voltage out of your batteries. We had this car completely stripped down, and then we put it back together, and then we're, you know, going through all the checks, putting it back together to go back out.
At Eagle Carriage, there are many parts that are needed. One of the jobs here at Eagle is running the parts room.
I have to keep track of all the inventory coming in and out, make sure I tell our machinists when we're low on inventory, what we need built up, what we're going through a lot of, so they can be on top of it so I'm not running out of product in here. This area right here will be all engine stuff. Over here is all of our different bolts, and they go down from standard to metric, and then over here we'll have our really large bolts. So this stuff right here is all of our O-rings, seals, paints, and then we start getting into some of the older carriage stuff over here. This is like the 80s, 70s, 80s right here. These right here on your skyline, they will actually, they're hooked to cylinders and they'll clamp down on the line, and that's your braking system. Kind of like braking pads on a car versus the newer style that are just a fraction of the size.
Customer specifications are very important. One of the machinist's jobs is to make sure the product is exactly what the customer wants. Here, Stephen explains one of those examples.
One of the jobs that happens here when he's making these shivs is he has to match it to the customer's line or cable size. So we have these gauges, and he uses these gauges to make his groove, and I'll show you a little example here. So this one is marked 5/8. So if I go to the 5/8, what he'll do when he's grooving is he makes sure that this fits in the bottom and starts to come up the sides. So if I go to like 1 inch, you'll see there's a big gap in the bottom there, and that's no good. That actually ruins the cables, and they're not very cheap. He has to groove these out to whatever line size the customer has.
Steve, line 2, Steve Smith, line 2.
So we're here with Deb Baker. She is owner.
I'm married to an owner.
You're married to the owner.
Yeah.
When you're married to the owner, you're married to the business.
Yes, I am. I answer the phone, I greet customers, I do accounts payable, accounts receivable, answer emails.
Important stuff, though.
Yes.
I mean, really, you're one of the first faces,
Yes.
voices that the customer hears.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they have problems, you have to have an extensive knowledge of the carriages.
Yes.
Because when they have problems, you need to know,
Which person?
yeah, who am I calling to the office to talk to this customer?
Right.
What's been one of the challenges that you've noticed over the past 30 plus years that you've been part of this?
Besides working with your husband every day?
That's a challenge. That's a challenge.
Actually, we make it work really well.
So there's an exciting next step
Yes.
coming for Eagle Carriage.
Yes. The younger generation.
Yeah, that's got to be refreshing.
Yeah, it is. It's comforting knowing that, you know, if and when it's going to be in good hands.
I do all the data entry for billing. Anything tax related falls on my shoulders.
That's a big deal.
It is.
Right.
It is for a large company.
Yeah.
And then I also order all of our packing for all of our hydraulic cylinders.
Wow.
I have to identify and order that, and that's typically a daily thing.
It is a daily thing.
It is, and sometimes it's 4, 5, 6 cylinders a day.
Yeah.
Because we like to get our customers taken care of.
When you're looking for an employee, you're not always looking for what they can do physically, but you're looking for, do they show up on time? Are they hardworking? Is this somebody that's going to stick around?
Right, that is probably the biggest thing. We can train anybody, you know, the skill set of work ethic and, you know, even just showing up, that's hard to find anymore.
Pass a drug test, that's a big thing. Most of the guys that we hire have no experience in what we do because nobody does what we do.
What we've got here is, you'll notice Gene's not wearing a mask while he's painting. Now normally you'd think that's pretty hazardous and reckless of him, but he's got this air system all figured out where this is pulling the fumes, pulling the excess paint away from him, and it goes out this and out the pipe out that back door.
I would say total units over the years, we've probably got well over 500 units out working. They set the yarder up on the mountain and then string it across the canyon and tie it onto a tree or a cat or whatever. And they raise that skyline up and lock it in place, and then they put the carriage on and it just flies on that cable. They turn it loose and send it out there and then drag it back in. That's the only way you can log it. We build every part of it that we can.
Parts doesn't come from China.
No, they come from right here.
81 years old, I decided, well, I think it's time for the kids to run this, and I'll just go home and take care of my cows.
You figured by the time you were 81, if Sam didn't know it by then, he wasn't going to learn it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Scotty Baker had a vision. His impact is far-reaching. Loggers, farmers, ranchers, and many others have benefited from that relationship. The main job we looked at was a machinist. Starting out, a machinist will make between $19 and $20 an hour, but there's such a high demand right now that you can move up very quickly. If you enjoy working with metal, if you enjoy fabricating, being a machinist is a great opportunity for you and a very rewarding career. Up next, let's dig into the profession of log truck driving and the rewarding life it brings.
Need to go to the overflow. You get up early, you get loaded early, you get to the mill early, so you can get a good day in. That's how you make your money.